module summaries, so you can have your topics that you covered for that module, or introductions, module introductions. But this is an item that there's no activity to it, so this would not be a graded piece. It just gives you a way to present content and maybe a more interesting or cleaner way than having it all out front to begin with. So that is one thing that I want you to be aware of. Some H5P content types lend themselves to being graded activities, and others are just give you a way to present content in a more interesting way. Mark the words. This is kind of an interesting one that can have various uses. So in this activity, click on all the proper nouns. I'll miss some on purpose, wink, wink, and, and check it. So it gives me my score there. So this is an example of one that could be a graded activity. Or just a review activity also. It wouldn't necessarily have to be graded. But you can click here through the examples. This will give you maybe an idea, you know, if you can see examples of the different content types, kind of for your own content, then which tool you might want to use within H5P, which option. The other tab, the resources tab, this has the documentation, so the steps on how to use it in Canvas and everything. And then we do have a tutorials link also. So if you want to watch tutorials on the different content types, that's another option to see examples. Okay. So let's get into now looking at the ways that you can add H5P into your Canvas course. So I am going to hop over here to my demo course, and I'm going to go to modules. If I want to have an H5P item, just a piece of content that they need to look at or maybe interact with, but it's not an activity, or it's not a graded activity, I can go to pages. I can add a new page. And then here in my Rich Content Editor toolbar, I have this more external tools option. And so I can click that, and then you'll see H5P listed in that menu. So when I select that, it's going to have any H5Ps that I have created within Canvas or that I've loaded into Canvas. Okay, so I may have more over in my h5p.org account that aren't listed here. This will only be the list of your H5Ps that you have created with the integrated Canvas tool or that you have downloaded from h5p.org and uploaded into this integrated tool. So here, if you do have any existing H5Ps in your list, you can insert that item right here, the insert button. If it's a new item that you're creating, you can click the Add Content button, and then it gives you all of the different content types that are available in the integrated H5P option in Canvas. If you want, you can click the Details button for the content type to see an example and read a little bit more about it before you commit to that one. But if you know the one that you want, you can go ahead and click on it and then start creating your H5P item. This here is where you can also, if you have an already built H5P item at h5p.org, this is where you can upload that item to get it in your list. So I'm going to switch over now to h5p.org and look at how we download if we have a built H5P there. So let me go into this one. A timeline, again, is one that is not available in the integrated list. So I may want this timeline in my, my Canvas course. So I can go to, if I click reuse, that is going to give me the option to download an H5P file. Okay. So I click that download, and then I choose to save that file, and I'm going to save it to my computer or flash drive, somewhere where I know where it's at. Okay, so it went to my downloads. I am just going to drag this file from my downloads to the desktop, so it's an easy place to grab here. So this is an example of the file that it will give you. It has an H5P extension there. And so then when we switch back over, I can click upload, and I can upload that H5P file. Then after that uploads, it will be in my list so that I can add it. It shows me, this is all of the settings for my timeline, so I can edit things right here if I needed to before I save and insert it. So after I insert that timeline, you're going to see it in your text box here. And so then if I save and publish that page, I'll expand the screen again. So there's my timeline. This particular one has some text and video. This was for a music class. So it's going through a particular genre, the 80s. The go-go. Yeah, we're all Zoom people. We're all partying now in the room too. We got the beat. But yeah, so you can have video. It's very versatile, but it gives you a way. So instead of in your module having, look at this timeline, like how many videos there are, different content that's covered here. So instead of having each one of these listed individually in the module, you're condensing that content onto kind of an interesting, looking timeline. And so you can have a background image, and it's just visually appealing and makes it a little bit more interactive as they, click on the videos and can see the video thumbnails. You can add text to go along, with the video. And then they can scroll through the timeline that way. So that is an example of how to download an H5P item that you have created at h5p.org and get it into your list in the integrated tool in Canvas and be able to use that. The other thing that we are going to look at, and so this method was using the rich content editor toolbar to add the H5P item through that. So that is the route if, like I said, it's not especially a graded activity, okay? The other option is if you want a graded H5P activity that will sync with your Canvas gradebook, then what you'll want to do is go to assignments, and you'll add an assignment, and then And you can have, your directions and everything as usual here, but what we're going to set is the submission type. So this setting here, we select external tool, and then we click the find button to find the H5P external tool. There, and we click that. Then once again, you'll see this looks really similar to what we did last time. It brings up your list of the H5Ps that you have available in the integrated tool. Again, it would work the same way if you have an activity one out at h5p.org that you want to bring in and use. Again, you would just download that file from h5p.org and upload it here. But if you have one that is already done and in your list, let's use the mark the words. So you find that one, and then you can go ahead and insert that. Okay, so now it puts the link for that one in there. And then you would set your point value for the assignment. Point assignment. Grade as points. Pick your assignment group that activity is dropping into for your gradebook setup. Again, the assignment group is equivalent to the gradebook category. If you're used to that terminology from Moodle, that's the assignment group. And so then when we go ahead and save and publish, we'll have this H5P activity here. And should be capitalized. Okay. Yay, I got 4 out of 4. Okay, so now people look at grades. Yeah, so there it is in the gradebook. I've not done it as a student, so listed there in the gradebook. Let's go back, and we can check it out as, oh. Sorry, I need to leave student view 1 second, and we need to add that activity that I created to the module so we can get to it as yeah. And this is one thing, if you have not used the student view yet in Canvas, it is really, really, really nice and helpful. You can access student view from the course's homepage or the settings page. And then when you go in to student view, it creates a test student. So that test student will appear in your gradebook, but you can actually go through the course as test student. And you can see when I'm in student view, it gives me this purple box, and my profile picture disappears, changes to the test student, little ghosty image there and everything. So I could go through activities and actually submit as test student, so you can see how things work from the student side. Now, if you have your dates and things set up, it will tell you if that assignment isn't available for submissions or whatever. But we'll go here and try out our H5P assignment. This one, I'm going to have test student not get tested grade. So then when I leave and go back as me and look at our grades, test student should have a grade for that H5P assignment that fed in. So they got 7.5 out of 10. They did not score as well as me. So, but this is really handy. Again, that student view, it's a great way to be able to see how activities work from the student side and also test your grade book. Because at any point when you go into student view, if you want to wipe test students' grades out, you can reset the student view and everything. But yeah, it is very handy for you. So. That is kind of the broad overview of the H5P tool. Like I said, again, the h5p.org. I am not sure if they'll keep h5p.org going or if they'll keep it going for free. Or if they'll start to cap how many free ones you can have. I'm not sure what will happen in the future with h5p.org. So I would suggest if you either just prefer to develop at h5p.org, or if you have ones that were developed there before we had this integrated one in Canvas, I would suggest just any that you want to keep, just make sure to download them and get them, you know, uploaded into Canvas so you have them in your list. And then whatever happens with h5p.org in the future, you have your items that you've created and want to keep saved. Or if nothing else, I would download them and at least save the download file for them so that at some point you can upload them into the integrated tool. Do you guys have any questions about H5P or what kinds of content works well with H5P things or anything like that? This is h5p.org here. This is the separate site. I don't know. I wasn't planning on going like it being like a work session. It was just kind of a introduction to it and how you access it from Canvas and how you add to it and everything.
Do you have time to show people what we did in the orientation course with H5P?
In the orientation course.
Yes. Show.
Yeah, we went through some of these examples. They're wanting to see more examples?
Yeah.
Okay.
Will you have a training on H5P later in the semester?
I think in the future, yes, we'll probably have more of a work session type thing. This was, yeah, an hour-long kind of overview session. So, and with H5P, a lot of times you have to have like background images for things or, you know, the content to develop. So I'm not really prepared to just whip one out right at this second, but I have been working on a couple, but all of my files are on my computer. Yeah.
And if you're eager to get started on your own, if you head over to the orientation course, there are step-by-step directions on how to create H5P content in there. But if you want one-on-one or one-on-two assistant, that's what we're up with that too. Yeah.
Yeah, so on the resources tab in the H5P lesson and the orientation, that has the step-by-step directions like we looked at previously. And then the examples, if you want to see examples, which I can show more of if you guys want to look at more examples of different types. But did you have a question?
I was just going to ask, try a new study mate for vocabulary and it's
Yeah.
not been successful, do you recommend this, like the what you talked about, vocabulary over study mate?
Yeah, probably. H5P does have some kind of flashcard options and things. It doesn't have all of the same, like in StudyMate, when you put in your terms and the definitions, it creates all of the different game types off of those. So you have flashcards and crossword and like the fill in the blank and hangman type game that it automatically basically creates as soon as you put your terms and definitions in. But the drawback with StudyMate is that it's really not, you really can't grade it unless it's the student generating the terms and the definitions and building the StudyMate. And so that's kind of the drawback with it. This, I can show you an example here. So this is the course presentation content type. So it's kind of slide based. But as you go through it, it has kind of dialogue cards, so you can flip them, look at more information. This was created off of just a PowerPoint. So it's just kind of a way to take a PowerPoint presentation and make it a little bit more interesting. But some slides are just kind of plain slides. Other slides have more interactive elements because within that course presentation content type, you can add other H5P elements within that presentation. So we've had dialogue cards. This one is a, so you click the little buttons to see more information.
So this will help for those of us who are using Office.
Yes, yeah, you could do, and also look into Kaltura as well. The Kaltura session is next, but because Kaltura has added annotations and things like that also, so you can always capture your PowerPoint and lecture along with it and do annotations and things through Kaltura as well. But yeah, this is another option for, yeah, if you want to kind of jazz up your PowerPoint presentations and add some more interesting elements. This particular one, this is a drag and drop activity, so they just have to kind of self, you know, assess themselves here to see if this program would be a good fit for them or not. So that with this drag and drop, there is no right or wrong answer because they have the freedom to pick yes or no. So it can
make drag and drop be correct.
Yeah, yeah. So you can set it up either way so that they have to, like for this one, we could have set yes to be the right answer for any of these options or no to be the correct answer. But this one is like a self-assessment, so they need the freedom to be able to pick either option. But then it does score them, so they gave a range that, you know, well, if they, you know, have this many yeses, then it's probably a good fit. But if they have this many no's, it probably might not be the best fit for them. But then at the end, they have a little quiz that covers questions that were over the content from the presentation. So this particular item was done for a program, and then it's linked out on the college's website. So when students visit their page on the college's website, they can go through this and see if it is a fit for them. And then they have it to where they they have the students print their score for this and bring it when they enroll for the program. So.
So then, I mean, kind of obviously, I'm just confirming, but if we do use this H5P or Kaltura with our PowerPoint, then that generates a link.
Yeah, so with Kaltura, it would be a Kaltura video. So it would be a video in your My Media in Canvas, and then you would just post that video in the course. So yeah, the video file would not be sitting in your course files. It's hosted by Kaltura. But yeah, this also would not be converted or anything. You would just build it right in Canvas. Or at h5p.org and transfer it to Canvas, either way.
We have a question
Yeah.
Related to Brandon's presentation yesterday. Do you know if there are any H5P activities that are ADA compliant?
They are all supposed to be ADA compliant. I know accessibility is very high on the company's list, so with the release notes, they're always like adding improvements for that. So, are there any other questions? Do you guys want to look at some more of the examples and talk about those? A lot of the ones that we get from faculty are worksheets. Some of them, one that I just looked at for an instructor, has some images. It's like a diagram matching the term to this particular one has to do with anatomy. And so what they want to do with H5P is more of a drag and drop type thing rather than just a plain old Word document type worksheet. So here, I think we did this one for Ian. This one is, yeah, for different gates to match the gate with the image. And I will score terribly on this one. Let's see. I remember this one is, I think I got that one right because it kind of looks like scissors. When we were in the process of doing this one, I had these all down, but now I've forgotten all of them, so I'm a horrible student. But yeah, I got two of them. But that is an example of the drag and drop. So you have your image, and that image has these different hotspots where these particular gates have to match a particular drop zone or it's counted incorrect. So this is an example of a drag and drop that is different than the yes/no one that we looked at because that one was for self-assessment, so they had the freedom to pick whichever column they wanted, but this one had definite drop zones matched to terms that so it could be graded correct or incorrect. This one is kind of, I believe, the same content, but using the dialogue cards so that they see some information on that particular gate, and then they see the, there we go. So they see the image, the information on it, and then which gate it is. So it's just kind of the same content, but a different way to present it. This would be more for review. So it's giving it a little bit more interactive element. but more for review. The other one is would be more for assessment.
That have the 4 out of 10 or whatever you rating.
Yeah, so like we talked about, there's certain content types, that is just more for delivering content in kind of a more interesting way, but doesn't lend itself to be a graded item.
And the question again was, any of the H5P content can be graded?
Not all of the H5P content can be graded, only certain content types. So like,
graded content can be graded in Canvas.
yes, if it is a content type through H5P that can be graded, it integrates with the Canvas gradebook, yes. Yeah. This is just a simple image slider, so just kind of an image gallery. So rather than having all of the images just kind of on a page, this gives a different way to present them. And in Canvas, Moodle had a Lightbox gallery, image gallery option, but Canvas doesn't. So this, using that H5P element, gives you a way to get an image gallery into your Canvas course, even though Canvas doesn't have that tool. With H5P that gains you that ability.
They have images there that you use, or you load them?
You load your own images, okay. Yeah, but it puts them in the slider format for you. So yeah, any content, like we talked about, PowerPoints, you can do a lot in H5P with those. And it doesn't have to be a big, presentation, like one presentation, like this course presentation example that we looked at. You might break your PowerPoint up into different, H5P elements instead of having a big, long presentation altogether. So it's just kind of looking at the content and deciding, kind of how you want to break it up or present it, and figuring out which of the content types would work the best for it. Like these, like mark the words, I kind of envision if you have like a worksheet or like out of the textbook, sometimes they have the activities at the end of the chapter or something like that. Those sorts of things. Mark the words works good, drag and drops. This one is a drag text. So you drag the text to the one I have 3 on that. And this one is set to show the solution. You can set them so that they can retry them or not. Show that. Any other questions at all? We will be, like I said, I'm sure having more kind of work sessions for things, but this one, was meant to be just kind of an introduction to, having the integrated tool in Canvas and kind of explaining what exactly it is and showing some examples and things. But in the future, I think we'll be having some specific work sessions where you could bring content in and we can kind of talk about it and mull it over and then start working on developing some things. As I said, we have this lesson in the orientation. Also, feel free to reach out if you want to brainstorm how to handle, particular content. We have things like H5P, StudyMate was mentioned earlier, Kaltura, you can do a lot of things with Kaltura. But our team also has license to Storyline and Rise. That is something that not everybody has, but it might be something that if you have some content that might, depending on what exactly you're wanting and what your goal is, we might look at doing a Storyline project or setting up a Rise for you. So, but yeah, I think moving forward, there's lots of different options to make your content and activities a little more interactive and interesting, but H5P is one that kind of once you get some guidance and get used to it, you can churn out some content pretty easily. Well, if nobody has any other questions, I think we'll go ahead and end this session.
Okay, thanks everybody. We are going to end this Zoom meeting for everyone. And so you'll all get kicked out of meeting. Don't worry about it. You can join right back in about 5 or 10 minutes at the max. And we'll start the next session after that at the top of the hour.
That'll be about perfect because then you have set up time for that one because I was like,
That's why I did it.
if we go right to the end,
Right.
it's not going to be.
I ask you a question.